Hello everyone, G-Pop here, and I'm doing a bit something different today. So as you can tell, we have some face cam finally, and this is the first time kind of like showing my face on this channel here. I have shown my face on a couple times on my other channel for like my rhythm game stuff, but this is my first time showing it here. And I decided it's kind of fitting for this kind of video. Kind of makes it a bit more personal, so you guys can tell, like, it kind of makes it more personal with you guys, just to show, you know, my thoughts and opinions on the whole kind of game and stuff like that. And I think this is the perfect video to do it. I'm not going to be doing this all the time. This is just for very, very certain occasions. And I'm not a kind of person who likes to show my face. Of course, you can see behind me, it's not like I don't have a very spectacular room. I'm not an influencer or anything like that. I'm just in a regular room that my desktop is in. But yeah, I just wanted to do this with a face cam and talk about Melty Blood type Lumina. And I think the perfect time to the perfect videos to talk about this with is the new gameplay footage. Like, not new, it came out a couple weeks ago. The new gameplay footages that this website Gamer managed to get a hold of, a copy of Type Lumina, an early review copy of Type Lumina, and they were able to, I'm assuming with Kamone's permission, with French Bread's permission, and Type Nuen's permission, that they can go over the kind of mechanics that this game has. And they released 3 videos that goes in depth, like more in depth with how these mechanics work, how you press them and everything. And those 3 videos were rapid beats. These are 3 new, rapid beats, the new addition to how combos work, rapid beats. Shielding, talking about like how shielding works in this game now compared to previous games, and the moon gauge system, which includes moon skills and moon drive. And I think that's the biggest one I want to talk about. So I think this is going to be a good time to go over, because a lot of my thoughts are on Type Lumina kind of revolve around this, but I also after we review these videos, I'm going to talk a bit about how I feel about the other kind of stuff. Like how I feel about this game coming up, my concerns and stuff like that. And my concerns will also come about from these videos. So anyways, right here I already have the first video up, and this is the video talking about rapid beats. And this video I have right here, like, you don't see it on screen, but I also have the description. Thank you very much to BD Tetra from Melty Blood for providing basically summarized translations for what they are talking about with these mechanics, because I don't know, I'm gonna have the video in the bottom here, but you might not see it because of my face, but later on you'll see some Japanese text. You know, Gamer is a Japanese company, and you know, all their stuff is going to be in Japanese, so that's why BD Tetra, once again thank you for making these translations. Made these translations for these kind of things. So we're going to go over this video. I'm going to talk about what the translations, kind of like the summarized translations are, and go over what it is and my thoughts on this whole thing. So that being said, let's talk about this first video, which is about rapid beats. So this one right here is talking about how you can rapid beat from the A version, from your B normal, just press AAA, this is BBB, and then you can do rapid beat from CCC, and then ground throw. So something I want to talk about with this kind of thing is that this is actually extremely reminiscent to Grand Blue Versus. So Grand Blue Versus has something very similar to that, where you can do rapid beats off of A, B, or like light, medium, or heavy. For them they call light, medium, heavy. Here we call A, B, C. So that is very reminiscent to that, and I think Kamone had quite a bit of inspirations from a lot of other fighting games. I think specifically like Arc 6 Fighter. So they got a lot of influence from Grand Blue Versus with interactions, like just character voice interactions. So that's why you see a lot of specific voice lines when they're doing characters. So for example, if you see Arc versus Shiki, she will actually be more playful and say things like Shiki and stuff like that. And it's adorable. I like these new additions. It's very, very neat bonuses to add it. I think a lot of it will fly over our heads because, you know, a lot of the West doesn't speak Japanese, so they might not notice. But if you know Japanese, or if you do know how to catch these things, then yeah, it'll be a very nice surprise, especially if you're a Suzuki Hime fan. But yeah, so I got a bit sidetracked there, but yeah, this is talking about you can reverse beat from A, B, and C normals. Let's just slow this down a bit. Just this part, just to slow this down a bit. So right here, you can do rapid beat off of A normal, so A, A, A. And this is all from standing. This is not from crouching, it's all from standing. So I think here, I don't know if this is auto combo. I think this is just the guy doing A, B, C air throw. I don't think he does auto combo in the air as well. I don't think that's a thing because we don't see rapid beat on the end on the air combos too. Here we do it from B, and you can see when you do B, the auto combo normal is still shared. So that's how you know it's an auto combo. So it always does normal, starter, like starter normal, rapid beat combo normal, and then launcher. That's how it kind of goes. And then the final one is from C. So from C normal, you can do, you know, C into auto combo normal and then into a launcher right there. And then you do your air combo stuff. So one thing I do want to note about this auto combo stuff is I think it's a pretty neat addition. I think it's pretty neat. This is kind of something that a lot of Japanese fighting games like to include now. This is kind of their way for like beginners and like newer players to get into as well. But I think this is going to be really good for like implementing combos as well. And before I remember with Persona 4, I used to be heavily against auto combos. I didn't like it because I was like, oh, this is making games easier. Why can't you just learn how to do A, B, C? But after I started playing other fighting games like Dragon Ball Fighter and Grand Blue Versus, I started realizing, you know what? No, this is fine. This is fine. It's not optimal. Like, it's not always optimal, but it as long as the game revolves around it, like, as long as the game is not like, oh, we just put ham-fisted this in for beginners, but the game revolves around anything else, but then accidentally made auto combos super strong, then, you know, that's kind of a problem. But I think this is fine. And we can see from match footage, sometimes they do auto combos after, like, at the end of combo, like, you know, after some combos, you know, just to make it more safe or make it more consistent. Because if we know, like, a lot of the auto combo second normal kind of like has properties to make it more consistent. So it's not, I think it's something better than like Dragon Ball Fighter or Dragon Ball Fighters, where there are some auto combos that were better than others. For example, Bardock was a very notable one that had an auto combo normal that just knocks you down in the air and is just very powerful. Because you can, that means it's very consistent, because if you do your auto combo, it'll always be consistent. You can get into that. But other characters sometimes suffer because their second hit of auto combo kind of like whiffs because it doesn't have a big hitbox. So if they're airborne, it tends to whiff. So from what we're noticing here, they kind of made the second auto combo normal more consistent. So we don't have to worry about that kind of thing happening, especially the airborne. And this is a game where the characters are always airborne. So that's very important. So I think this is fine. I don't have anything against this. What I am concerned, and I think we do see a little bit later, if you notice in the video here, when they do the auto combo, so when she does, like, for example, from her C, so she does 5C, C, launcher. So you'll see right here, she does launcher, but then does like an auto jump. So is this auto jump an automatic thing? And that's what I'm kind of concerned about, because the one game they had super jump for was, or as a setting at least that I played, was Marvel vs. Capcom 3, where we had a dedicated launcher button. This was a new thing for Marvel. It wasn't a launcher button before. It was like a button you had to like figure out yourself what the character had. For example, like Ryu would be like 2C or like 2 heavy or something like that. 2 heavy punch, like down heavy punch. And that will launch from the air. No, they had a dedicated launcher button. So nothing easier for people to do. And it was fine. But there was a setting that makes you auto super jump, and people would always turn it off because it would always get in the way. I kind of hope this is kind of a setting, but if it's not, then I'm kind of hoping that this doesn't get in the way of things, because especially with launchers, when people want to do launchers that get into like setups, for example, some characters want to do, like, I'm pretty sure we could also find ways to do air combos without needing to do launcher. We can just do like 2C, 5C into like BC, BZ. That's kind of how it was in previous Melty Blood games. So I'm kind of hoping that's going to be. But if launcher forces a super jump, either have that as a setting or ensure that it doesn't get in the way of combos. So that's just my very concern about that. This is one of my concerns about Melty Blood type Lumina. I don't think it'll be a big problem, because I think more optimal combos will try to avoid launchers if launchers prorate a lot. This is assuming it's like Miyako's launcher. I showed in my full depth analysis of Miyako that she had a dedicated like launcher button too, which was 6C, and it would launch you in the air and you can super jump, but you had to like manually input. Like if you just hold up from launcher, then you'll do a super jump that'll follow them. But if you don't hold it, then that means you won't follow them. That's what I'm kind of hoping it is like in this game too. But the other thing I mentioned is that Miyako 6C is very, very prorated. That's why a lot of people don't use Launcher, because it prorates your damage a lot. So if that's the case, then people will try to find ways around this Launcher, like find other combos, like, you know, like I said, 2C, 5C, which does not prorate as much. It doesn't have that proration issue. Again, assuming that that's how proration works in this game, it could be much different. But that's just my assumption. So that is my concerns about the Launcher, but let's continue on with this video. Let's put this back to normal speed. So let's put it back, the volume back up to where we had. So that's the first part. Now the second part. Oh, this is like, I think this was also saying, like, you know, from anywhere you could go into Rapid Beat. So I think it should continue from that. So right here, yeah, right here it's just showing like, yeah, you can go like 2A, 5B, 5C, 2C, and then Rapid Beat, which is kind of interesting. Can you do Rapid Beat off of 2C? I don't think they explain it. So like you see right here, let's slow down a little bit. 5C, 2C, and then Rapid Beat. So is there a Rapid Beat from 2C as well? If that's the case, then I'm even more concerned, because I was hoping that some of the normals we had from the ground are like you could do 2BB, 2AA, or like 2CC. Well, 2AA is different. I'll explain the next portion of the video. But I'm hoping you could do like 2BB or 2CC. So that's what I'm kind of hope, like we don't have, it doesn't go into Rapid Beat. But again, we won't know. I don't think they say it exactly. All I see from translations is AAA, BBB, and CCC Rapid Beats exist. Maybe they're saying like, you know, from any normal you can do Rapid Beat. So from that you got from 2CC. But anyways, going into the next part. This one's talking about 2A and 4A. So showing here, they could still do like 2A. You can still match 2A, but up to 3 times before it goes into Rapid Beat. You can also do the same for 5A, quote unquote 5A, but you have to input 4A for this. So you can see that she does 4AAA into and it goes into Rapid Beat. And it shows here how you could use it for pressure and stuff like that. So what I want to talk about here, I think this is very good. I think it's fine for this kind of thing. This is very reminiscent to Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax. So Fighting Climax also had auto combos from like standing. The 2AAA thing is very similar to how it is in Dengeki Bunko. You could do 2AAA, like 2A up to 3 times before it goes into auto combo, which is like 5B, 5C, and then 5A plus B. So this is taking very much from that. And this is fine. I think it's perfectly fine, because most people will just do like 3 consecutive like down A's at most. There's very few times you would ever want it to go like 4 times, because it'll push you too far back and you kind of like lose your spacing and stuff like that. And I'm kind of glad that to alleviate like 5A being a auto combo, they made it to 4A. And I think that's big, because this is something I found annoying. I think a lot of people found annoying with Under Night. Under Night, the only way you can mash A is if you hold up, if you hold 8. And that is a problem, because that means if they get hit, you jump. Because you could jump cancel on hit, but you cannot jump cancel on guard. That's why on block you do 8A to mash the 5A. But I'm kind of hoping like I'm just really glad that this is the change they went for. Like you can at least do 4A, and the 4A for me personally reminds me of the Toho fighters, specifically like Hisoten Soku and Antinomio Common Flower and Urban Legend Limbo. Both of those games, like if you do 5A, well in Hisoten Soku, if you do 5A up close, you'll do auto combo. If you do 4A, you'll mash the jab portion of auto combo, so you can keep mashing that. In Hisoten Soku, or no, in Urban Legend and in Antinomia of Common Flower, what they do instead is that if you're too far, 5A will, and this is true in Hisoten Soku as well, if you're too far, 5A will do like a far normal. It had proximity normals. But if you do 4A, you'll always do the jab no matter where you are in the screen, like no matter how far you are. So that's kind of how, like you can do 4A auto combo. So that's kind of how it is. You can't mash it like more than 2 times the auto combo. Depending on the character too. Most of them you can only do it once. Most of them you can only do two. Some of them you can only do once before it goes to the rest of the auto combo. But this is, like I said, this is very reminiscent where you do 4A to bypass like these restrictions. So you can mash the 5, like you can mash it to get the normal as many times as you want. So I like this change. This is a very good change in my opinion. This is good. So this one's fine. I have no issues with this, and it still goes into auto combo. So for like new players, they can do that too. Like they can at least still do 2 AAA for the lows into the auto combo. So new players who like to mash, they can still do it. But anyways, moving forward. So here, after this, yeah, this is the 5A. So, oh yeah, so right here is showing. This is where I was saying and this is what I was saying about the auto jump. You see here, Arc does the auto jump but doesn't follow up. Is that because she was forced to jump and she wanted to stay in the ground? That's what I'm kind of concerned about. So that's what I said. So last part is showing kind of using auto combo but going to rebeat. So in the translation BD Tetra posted is that you cannot reverse during rapid beat. So rapid beat, you can go into rapid beat from any normal, but you cannot reverse beat during rapid beat. So you can't go 5C and then rapid beat and then launcher into 5A back to 5A. If you haven't used it, you can't. So a bit of explanation. Rapid beat reverse beat. Sorry, I'm getting they both start with R beat. They're both rapid beat. It's very hard to get too confused, but yeah, just to give a bit of clarification. So what reverse beat is, in most fighting games, you have a Gatling system, and or a target combo system. And what that means is that you can usually combo, especially in anime fighters, you can go from a low priority move, light, into a medium, into a heavy. That's traditionally, sometimes you can go like standing, low, then crouching, standing, crouching, standing, crouching. So 5A, 2A, 5B, 2B, 5C, 2C, and that would sometimes work. Again, depends, this varies from fighting game to fighting game. What Melty Blood does is that you can Gatling as well, but if you haven't used the normal during that block string, during that cancel window, during that cancel system, if you haven't used that normal, you can reverse beat back to that normal. So if you for example, if you haven't used 5A in the chain, if you do 2A, 5B, 5C, you can press 5A because you didn't use that in your chain, and that is reverse beat. And this is very important, and you'll see here in this video kind of how they do it right there. So let's slow that down a bit. So you see she does her pressure 2A, 2A, 5B, 2B, 5C, 2C, rapid beat. So this is very important because it's your way of resetting your pressure. But what usually happens is that when you do rapid beat, it still puts you minus. So this is kind of a guessing game that you could rapid or reverse beat. Sorry, again, getting the terms mixed up. You can reverse beat at any time as long as you have the normal available, and as long as you have to mix it up a bit. Don't just reverse beat from the same normal all the time because that makes you predictable, and that's when they know when they can press buttons on you. So that's kind of the mind game with pressure, and that's kind of what makes Melty Blood and even Under Night extremely really fun to go on offense because you have all these options. It's a guessing game. It's not just the usual going to your standard block string into special to make your safe kind of thing. No. You can theoretically go on forever if they can't guess any of your things properly. So that's kind of how the guessing game. That's kind of just the very simplified version of how you use reverse beat. That's one of the main ways you use reverse beat. Is through pressure. That's one of the most notable ways. But what it's also saying is that you cannot use rapid beat during rapid beat with the auto combo. So they don't show that case here. They don't show it here. They're just showing that she's doing rapid beat during normal pressure. But and I think here is where it's saying you cannot reverse beat during a rapid beat. But yeah, they're not showing that example here. But I'm just saying. They're just saying if you're doing rapid beat, you cannot reverse beat during the rapid beat. So as soon as you go commit into a rapid beat, so as soon as you commit to, for example, as soon as you commit to this normal here and the launcher, you cannot reverse beat. Now they don't say if you can reverse beat off of raw launcher because we saw in the previous gameplay videos you can do a raw launcher, but they haven't just talked about if these videos if you can rapid beat from a raw launcher. From a rapid beat, you cannot. They specifically say you cannot. And I think that's fair and balanced. So you can't overly rely on rapid beat and use that kind of like to cheat your pressure. But that's kind of like what they're saying. It's like, but that's the only kind of mystery is like, can we rapid beat off of raw launcher? So there's that. So next up, what we have here is shielding. This is a video about shielding, and this video goes. And first off, what I love about it is that this is our first glimpse. This was our first glimpse on the training mode, and I really love this because this training mode. If you listen to the music, let's listen to a bit. Yo, this music's kicking, bro. I love this song. Yo, Rido, I just want to say your music are amazing. If you're for some reason watching this, your music are amazing, and even your like training mode. I love this funky beat. Like this, it's so good. The music he makes for Melty Blood is so good. But yeah, anyways, and it's the first glimpse of training mode. I really like how it looks like. It's very much training mode, you know, with the grids and everything. It's very similar to Under Night, except instead of being green, it's like white. It's like this usual white, and I think it's fine. It's fine. It's a training mode. Previous Melty Blood games didn't have a training mode at all. It was just different stages, but there's no training mode stage. So this is a brand new addition to Melty Blood in general. It's a perfect addition. Dengeki had it, Under Night had it. But anyways, let's go on to this. So this is saying about shielding. So what it's saying here, when you shield, if you press A or C, you will do a shield counter. This shield counter is actually not new to Melty Blood. The shield counter is something that came from Actress Again. Half Moon and Full Moon had it. However, the difference between Half Moon and Full Moon is that Half Moon, if you shield a regular normal, like a melee attack, it will automatically do the shield counter. But it'll automatically do it as soon as the shielding ends. But if you do it from a projectile, it won't automatically do the shield counter. You have to manually input 236D, like 236 shield, and then you'll do the shield counter. Like quarter circle forward shield button. Full Moon, no, actually, before we go to Full Moon, like Half Moon, the downside is that Half Moon you cannot hold shield. That was something only C and F could do. They could hold shield, but a Half Moon could not hold shield. You have to like be very perfect with the shield time. So that's like the drawback of automatic shield countering. You have to hold shield, or you cannot hold shield. So that's wrong. Full Moon, you can hold shield, but to do shield counter, you have to do quarter circle forward shield all the time, no matter if it's a normal, projectile, whatever. But the good thing about this is that you had control over when you can do your shield counter. So you can kind of mix it up thinking like, oh, you're just shielding, and then like out of nowhere a shield counter. You can delay it a bit. And I think from what we saw in previous videos, gameplay videos, you saw people do a bit of delay as well. Not just with shield counter, but the teleport as well, which we'll talk about here. But I'm just saying that this is a comparison to that. But they made shield countering much easier. So instead of doing the quarter circle forward motion shield, you just have to press either A or C to get the shield counter. And I think this is fine because in previous Melty Blood games, there was a problem that you might you might miss input 236 shield. You might press the S too fast, and instead you get like down shield. So you get hit for that. That happens to me quite a few times. I'm bad at this game. When I try to do shield counter, I just get like I just get down shield instead, and it sucks. But it also helps because now if you get crossed up, it won't mess up your inputs for shield counter either. So that's another benefit for this kind of as well. So now shield counter is much easier to like get it out even if you get crossed up. So that's what I'm saying here. A or C will give shield counter, and B will do cross up counter. So cross up counter is the teleport that we see. So cross up counter is the one that we see people do teleport, which locks on no matter where they are on the screen and always end up behind you. So as we saw in previous videos and what I've been commenting all the time, cross up counter, the teleport, seems very slow. It's very slow, and if you know it's coming, you can block it. You can easily punish it. You can shield it. But remember, shielding is directional based from what we've seen. So in previous Melty Blood, it wasn't directional based. If you're holding shield and hitting you from the back, as long as it's the correct high or low, you will still shield, and you can. This kind of beats cross-ups. Now, because shielding is directional based, it doesn't even beat cross-ups. So that's a big thing. Theoretically, this makes Okizime much stronger, and I say theoretically because when we get to the moon gauge part, I'll tell you why it doesn't. why it doesn't matter. But anyways, that's what I talk about. That's a cross-up counter. Slow. And I also want to say I think this was inspired by Vanish from Dragon Ball FighterZ, where if you press B plus C, I think it was that. I don't remember the button combination. It's been a while since I touched that game. But if you do the Vanish, it'll always pop up behind them. But it was really fast. It was a very strong tool, but it did cost a meter. Now it theoretically doesn't cost a meter. You just have to successfully shield. But to balance that out, it makes it very slow. So it doesn't use up resources, but it makes it slow. And that is a big thing, and that's why it's very easy to punish. So I think it's also balanced because a lot of people complain about especially low level players complain about how fast Vanish is. So that's kind of their way of doing it. But then again, Vanish is different because it's also used for many other utility like combo extensions, stuff like that. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff too. This one's not for combo extensions. It's just for like, this is specifically for countering. And this is, I feel like something like this is specifically for things like projectiles. So that's what it says here, the B version. Now B plus C is the jump forward move. So we saw a very powerful move that we see that they also do from shield, but you can also do raw is a jump forward move. However, even though it's like the most powerful counter you can use, it's very powerful. It does use half of your moon gauge. And I think, yeah, I think that's what it says here. Maybe it talks about later. It takes up half of your moon gauge. And that is why it's very powerful, because it takes up your resource. And this is very big. And this is why you won't use it that much, because moon gauge is very important. And we'll explain later on in the moon gauge portion of why moon gauge is very important. But just so you know, it's not like a free, it's not a free thing that you can just throw out all the time. Otherwise, why would you use shield cannon? You could just use this because it reaches very far, knocks someone in the air for a free combo and stuff like that, and all that. So let's watch this video and see how they display it. So here they show she's gonna do regular shield counter, which launches up in the air and she does air combo. This one does punish, the teleport counter, but it's not a counter hit. So I think this is not actually a counter hit. You won't combo from it unless it's like in the air. But you see from C, she has enough time to do the shield counter or the teleport cross-up counter here. But if they're grounded, as you can see, it doesn't do counter hit. It just punishes and kind of puts you like, the good thing is that it puts you right like behind them and right beside them. So this is good against like projectile characters if the projectiles have longer recovery. So that's something to note. If they have very low recovery on the projectiles, don't use this because they're just gonna recover and punish you. So they're showing the teleport kind of here. And then this is showing the jump forward. And you can see this one does a counter hit. This one does allow a counter hit. And you can see she's still following and she can follow up on that if she wanted to. So now the next part, what is this? I think, oh yeah, this is saying, and this is very, very, very new to Melty Blood. If you hold shield, you can, if you're attacking someone and they shield your attack, you can immediately shield after. Like whatever normal you're doing, whatever special you're doing, you can shield. And this is another concern I have. And this is what I'm seeing a lot of other Melty Blood players are having concerns with as well, is this RPS style gameplay that they're kind of enforcing. And we're seeing that a lot in the gameplay videos. They're trying to really show, yeah, you can do all these crazy shield versus shield action. And it's cool, it looks cool. But as a player, this might get really frustrating because now, one, it may, like, yes, shield looked like it got stronger because of all these shield counter options we have. But on the other hand, this is what Red Melon said. This is what Red Melon said in his trailer when reviewing this. This makes shield weaker because now, in previous Melty Blood, when you're getting shields, you get rewarded, usually very much rewarded with like a counter, either with EX shield and 5A or like a shield counter. And it was very hard to like react to it. The only way you can really punish shields kind of is you like react to it really fast and like do like a jump cancel and block it, because that gives you enough time that makes them negative and you can punish. But if you didn't do that, they're always safe. The shield counter was always safe, maybe negative, but always safe because it pushes you far. And that's assuming you didn't get hit. So now they're saying like now shield counters is not guaranteed, because now they can shield your shield counter, like any of your shield options out of it. Now, we're gonna watch this here, and we're gonna see how they utilize that, and talk about like these examples. So, you know, just talking about it here. You're gonna shield after shield from C and A. So here is saying like she did shield counter, and she was able to shield right after, and you know she didn't react. Was just, you know, trying to teach him that you can do it. She does it again, and they say you can just keep doing that. Now, how many times can you do that? I don't know. Is it infinite? Or is it up to an amount of 3 times? It's showing here we go 1, 2, and then the person who shielded again can shield, shield, shield. We haven't seen them do any more than 3 times, so I think this is the maximum amount of time that you can do it. I think after that you cannot shield anymore. That's my assumption, because we haven't seen it ever go after that. But if you can't go infinitely, that's kind of a silly situation. Because what it does remind me, one game that you might not realize is Kimono of Fighters. So I remember that game had like a counter thing, or a combo burst kind of thing, and you can keep bursting each other. I don't recall how it happened, but you could kind of do it infinitely up to a certain point where like if you like it was an RPS situation too, and that's why a lot of people had burst safe combos in that game to punish that. It was kind of like Killer Instinct. I think it was kind of like Killer Instinct's Combo Breaker too, which is why they try to avoid using normals and try to use specials instead, because you can only like burst out of normals, but not out of normals. But again, it's been a long time since I played Kimono Fighters. But after a certain amount of time, if you keep bursting each other, then you like it just goes into a stalemate, and you both like push each other out and go into neutral. It's cool. It's such an awesome moment, but it does also get really annoying because now combos, what's the point of comboing if like they can always burst out of it? That's why they have to make very specific combos itself, limiting the combo potential itself. So if you're into that kind of game, you know, check out Kimono Fighters. It is really cool. So there's that thing. But it does kind of remind me of that. But if you can go max 3 times, another thing it does remind me of Killer Instinct with their what was it? They had Combo Breaker, and they also had Counter Break. I think it was called Counter Breaker. And that is something reminiscent to that. So like you combo break, they counter break that, but then you counter break that. So it's not a combo breaker. Obviously, you cannot do it during combo, but that's kind of what it looks like. I don't know how I feel about this. I do agree with Renmel. It does make it weaker because now you don't know if you want to shield anymore, if you want to do shield counters, because now you're at the risk of being like, if they react to it, and is it slow enough to react? If people can react to doing jump cancel to block, people can react to this. And this is in high level. Now, are people going to want to shield? Now, the thing is, what you could do was when she does this, she could shield, and when she tries to shield you, you can instead of pressing shield counter, you can just hold the shield and do nothing. And she's holding shield, but she was trying to predict your shield, and now she's vulnerable because you didn't counter and she tried to shield, and you can punish that. So there is that kind of situation too. Again, this is very much RPS. Now the thing is, in the end, it's not like the biggest deal because shielding is still a very big risk move. Because if you shield incorrectly, you're gonna get counter hit. And that is something to also think about. So shielding is not free. Shielding is not free. So showing here is actually that kind of situation you can do. So let's continue a bit more. So this one here is now showing what teleport counter can do. What cross-up counter can do. So if you're a bit too happy with your shielding, you're thinking they're gonna do a shield counter or the jump forward shield, and you have to immediately shield to beat that. But to beat that, you can do cross-up shield counter, or cross-up counter, because like I said, shielding is directional based now. So because cross-up counter is delayed a bit, if you shield too early, you'll be shielding the wrong direction, and they'll counter you from that. Something to very much know. It's also, again, adds to the RPS, like the rock, paper, scissors element to this whole shielding situation. I'm kind of split on this whole thing. I don't know how to feel about it. And, you know, get the full combo from it on a rapid beat, you know. And now this is showing how if now to beat cross-up counter, beat the counter to the counter, you can delay your shield a bit and then punish accordingly. And it's showing here, if you hit them airborne, it'll force a ground bounce. And because cross-up counter is airborne, I think despite how slow it is, it'll still beat it. So let's go back a bit. So she's trying to shield again your counter, but no, beats it. And because she's still airborne, cross-up counter will beat it. So that's the other thing to know about. So, you know, again, RPS. So that's what I was saying, like, if you're grounded, you will not get a combo. But if you get the cross-up counter and you hit them airborne, it'll give you a combo potential. So again, all these combos, counters and stuff. So final thing they want to show, I think this is where they're showing the B plus C, which is the jump forward, the diagonal tackle. It will be all those situations. It's like the safest option, but again, as you can see here, it takes up half your meter. So I see when she does the jump forward, half your meter, you do gain some back for getting the shield, but you do lose your moon gauge. And that is very important to note. So it is safe because you can shield counter it. And then, you know, just showing off with the clash situation. So your jump forward thing is like your safest option. It will not guarantee a hit because it can still shield it and stuff like that, but it'll get you out of the way. And you can jump cancel it too. But again, this takes up your moon gauge. So it's all up to you. If you really want to make it safe, want to ensure it makes it safe, you use that. And if you're willing to sacrifice a moon gauge. Maybe you could use it at the end of the match. You can do that. So my personal opinion on this whole shield thing, I'm okay with shield counter and being easier to do. I am not okay with this becoming an RPS situation. I don't know how to, well, it's not like I'm not okay, I just don't know how to feel about it. I don't know if this is going to be very common. I think it's just those gameplay videos just being very over, just really showing a bit too much how this all RPS situation is going. But I think, in my personal opinion, I don't think it's going to happen too often. Because especially in lower level plays, this is not going to happen too often. Not everyone has the reactions to this. There is a bit more time to react to on the shielding animation, so maybe there will be more situations on this. But they have to kind of like look out for that. So this will really depend. Like, we'll have to play this a bit more to see how often this RPS situation will happen. If it's not often, then yes, this will become hype. This will be a very hype theme because it's like, oh, someone shielded, but he was able to react to it. He was able to read it. Yeah. But if it happens too often, this kind of loses its hypeness because we see it too much. So that is something to like really think about. So that is kind of like something to like, I'm concerned about, is that they're trying to make hype like visually cool things to do. But if you can do it too easily, then it kind of loses its glamour. It kind of loses its hype. And that's just kind of my situation, my thoughts on it. And that at the cost of making something that was very powerful kind of weaker. And it was like something that was very monumental in Melty Blood was the shielding. And I just want to say, like, shielding in Melty Blood has always been like my favorite type of like quote unquote parry. Because, okay, here comes my hot take on parries, especially with Third Strike. Third Strike parries was supposed to be like a very high risk move because you have to, instead of blocking, you have to press forward to parry. And that's kind of what made Daigo's like parry moment, like that Evil Moment 37, yes, was very, very hype moment. Especially at that time, not many people thought you could do such a thing. And for something like that to parry every single thing, especially at that moment, was very hype. That's a very high risk situation. That was very high risk. However, in terms of neutral, parry was actually, believe it or not, was actually pretty low risk. Because shield, unlike shielding in Melty Blood, parry and Third Strike was, you just tap forward. You could tap forward for like 1 or 2 frames and then press, like, not 1 or 2 frames, that's not that fast, but like 3 or 4 frames and then press back to guard. So you could like try to like parry in between block streams and then pull back to guard. Kind of made it less risky because you could just kind of like guess that, but like there's theoretically no recovery on trying to do a parry. So that's kind of why I think parrying in Third Strike was kind of too powerful because it was very low risk. And I say it's low risk in a lot of situations. I'm not saying every situation. Like I said, Evil Moment 37 was a very high risk situation, but it was his only option he can do. But in neutral and stuff like that, I think it's usually kind of a low risk situation because there's no recovery. There's theoretically no recovery on parry. Now, that's just my opinion. Like shielding, I liked it because yes, it was a button, just like pressing forward was a quote unquote button or just a direction. But there was recovery. There was a lot of recovery, making shielding very high risk. That's why shielding wasn't the most like it's not something you see very often in Melty Blood compared to like Third Strike, where you see people try like parrying quite a bit, and it was cool. It was like, oh man, look at him parry, he guessed right. But in Melty Blood, it was more high risk because shielding put you into recovery, and if you get hit during that recovery, it's counter hit. I mean, it's a free combo, especially in this kind of game where you get like massive damage off counter hit. So that's just my personal opinion. That's why I really like shielding. And shielding is still the same. It's still very high risk, but it's even riskier because now the shield countering is now an RPS situation. So that's why people like Red Mountain says shielding is looking very weak because they can just shield counter they can just shield your shield counter. But you can also shield counter their shield. You can also shield their shield counter to your shield counter. You know, it's kind of situation. So this is I'm kind of like good and bad. I don't know how to feel about this. It's hype, but how does this at the expense of gameplay? It'll be hype in the first month, but if this happens too often, then it's just gonna lose its hype very fast. So that's just my personal opinion. So now the last thing, and this is in my opinion the biggest, I guess you could say, elephant in the room, is Moon Drive and Moon Gauge. And how, like, this is like, so what I want to talk about is that in Melty Blood, not Melty Blood, in fighting games in general, they always have this, like, they have to have this one mechanic, like the core mechanic that kind of differentiates it from other games. For Melty Blood, they kind of have this kind of thing too for each Melty Blood, but it was kind of different because each Melty Blood was not like one gimmick differentiate from the other Melty Blood games. No, it was more like each Melty Blood was like an extension of the last one. So that's kind of why the game is different. But because this is like Melty Blood type Lumina is like a reboot of the whole thing, I think they kind of changed the things too, and I'll talk about that after I talk about all these things. But Moon Gauge is the mechanic of type Lumina, and we're gonna go over this and talk about what you can do with Moon Gauge, how you can get meter and all that, and how powerful it is. And I'm gonna say right now, Moon Gauge, like specifically Moon Drive, is extremely powerful. And this video will show examples why. If I recall correctly, there are examples in the video as to why it's very powerful. It's almost 2 minutes, so this one's a bit longer than the last parts, but it's going to be very powerful. So let's go over this. So I'll try not to take too long on each parts of it, because this video is already going quite long already. So let's go on. I'll talk about it. But yeah. Anyways, what it's saying here first, and I got again BD Tetra's translation here. Moon skills are upgraded versions of special moves that cost moon icons. So like we saw earlier was like the moon meter we see in the corner below your portrait, below the character portrait. You can use moon skills by inputting a direction and B plus C if you have moon meter. So we'll see right here. That's what it's showing right here. Before we continue on, so someone on Twitter did actually like analysis on the points, on like how many points of Moon Gauge there are, and he calculated that there are 12 points. There are 12 points of Moon Gauge you can get. So 50% would be 6 points, and then full would be like full 12 points of Moon Gauge. So that's when you have full meter. So it's divided into 12. That's what you figured out. So we're gonna kind of compare that. We'll try to compare it to points itself. See like what costs 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, 6 points, stuff like that. Anyways, so it's showing right here. It's showing that you're saying press forward or back in P plus C to get your moon scale. So it's showing here I think it's 1, 2, and 3. So it looks like one of them's forward, maybe the other one's down, or maybe one's forward, one is left, and one is forward, one is back, and one is down. So I think every special move that you have is a moon skill. has a moon scale version as well, depending on the direction. So for example, here, he does it in neutral. But if you see in this gameplay here, because we can actually see the meter, when he does use the meter, he uses quite a bit. I think he uses like 3 points of moon gauge to use a moon scale. But I think on successful land or on counter hit, yeah, on punish or counter hit, I think it takes 1 bar. It gives you back 1 point. Either he uses 3 or 2 points. So it's showing here. Okay, and again. Okay, so this one's just getting a hit in general. So maybe it's not counter hit, but getting a hit gets you another point. Yeah. So it doesn't get any more from the rest of the combo, you get it from getting a hit. So it's showing how you can get moon gauge as well. So it's this one's showing them I think this was, yeah, it's just showing a bit more on the moon scale itself. This one's showing moon scale can be jump cancelled. You see right there? So moon scale can be jump cancelled. So for example, DP you don't normally see as jump cancelable like DP in general, but here it shows that he's able to jump cancel DP even on whip. Or some of them, not all, I guess it says some of them, not all of them, but I think all of them can be jump cancelled. Every single moon skill we saw so far was jump cancelable, at least in the air. But one thing to note, we do not see the invincible tag here. So despite this being like jump cancelable, this can probably be meaty. Now, this is outside of Moondrive. We'll talk about when they get into Moondrive, the differences of that and how this becomes even significantly more powerful. But like we see here, he's able to do the moon scale and jump cancel it to make it safe, but like I said, it's not invincible. We did see some examples of it having armor. I think for Hisui, in one of her last videos, we saw her put down like a moon scale version of her picnic and she got a point of armor on it. So we don't know if like moon skills actually have armor outside of Moondrive or not, if it's like consistent, or if it does, when does the armor point happen? So that's another thing we kind of don't know about. At least not based on these translations. So now, the next part, and this is the big one. This is the big thing. If you have more than 50% moon gauge, just pressing like B plus C on neutral, like neutral B plus C, so like 5 B plus C, you can activate Moondrive, as long as you're at least 50%. So what it's also saying here, when you're doing Moondrive, it allows you, and this is something I didn't notice before, and I'm just recognizing now. Like, Moondrive will upgrade your moon skills, so it'll have points of armor now, which does use up like your moon gauge. You can only use those armor points if you have moon gauge, and this is something that I corrected myself in the last analysis video, in the Arc and Como video, because I was kind of confused about that with the Miyako one. But in the Wark versus Como video, we saw that when Como was using his moon skill, when he was getting hit during Moondrive, some of the meter will go down. We'll see that later on in this video. And that's why only if you have moon gauge, sufficient moon gauge, will you have armor points. If you don't have enough, then you'll lose. Then you won't have the armor point at all. So that's the upgrade you'll get to your moon skills. Your magic circuit, so your meter in the bottom, your bottom left corner, like that would be in the bottom left there, will slowly increase. So you're gonna get meter too while in that, so pop it to get some meter. And also, and we saw this before too, it'll allow for additional air dash and additional jump. So now instead of having 1 air dash and 2 jumps, now you have 3 jumps and 2 air dashes. Now this is something that only 2 characters had in the previous Melty Blood game, which was Vermilion Akiha and Aoko. This was unique to them. So now that everyone has this ability while in Moondrive, it's very big because it's kind of what made them extremely mobile and hard to catch. Now, for Aoko, it was only true for her Crescent and I think Half Moon version. Full Moon didn't have that. Vermilion Akiha, V Akiha, I think had in all her moves. So that's why she was like a fly that you're trying to swat in the air because she has low health, she has very low defense. So as soon as you get a hit, then yeah, she's basically dead. But you had to catch her first. That's the hard part. So that is something that now everyone has. So, and that is why it's kind of weird. Like, if Alco comes, will she still have her 3 jumps and 2 air dashes? And then if she's a Moondrive, she has 4 jumps and 3 air dashes? Because that was like her thing. So, well, in the end, Oko's not in this game, and Vermilion Akiha is obviously not in this game, so we won't know now unless they introduce some DLC. So, this is the Moondrive. So, what they're saying here, Moondrive has 0 startup, 0 frame startup, or maybe 1 frame, 0 frame startup. That is what makes it extremely powerful. You could use it as like a pause button. So you can see right here, when she activates it, it pauses the screen, which means this is very reminiscent to 2 things. One thing I don't know much about, but people can have it out, but it's reminiscent to Chain Shift from Under Night in Birth, and apparently Overdrive in BlazBlue. Now, I don't have much say about Overdrive and BlazBlue in general, so I can't talk much about that, but it's I can say about Chain Shift. Chain Shift was like your pause button. Now, the difference is, this was a tool specifically to Under Night, which made the whole tug of war grid system powerful. And that's why you always try to want to win it, because you get that free pause button. Now, this is basically saying both of you can have this pause button as long as you have 50% Moondrive. And if it's just like Chain Shift, it's extremely powerful. And you can see here some examples of using it for Moondrive. Well, not as defensively yet. First, we're going to see how it's being used, what it gives you. So for here, it's showing it gives you the mobility. So here, the extra air dash. Now and then it shows here, we have triple jumps. So now here, so this one's showing here, you can Moondrive cancel basically almost everything, for some exemptions. Here are the exceptions. So here she's using her A version of her DP. CL is using A version of DP 22A. Doesn't have reversal, doesn't have invincibility, but she can Moondrive. Okay? So it's showing you can Moondrive off of specials. But if it has its invincibility tag, you cannot cancel into Moondrive, at least not meterless. Now, that's what I was confused about with Koma's video when he did the EX Dunk, which had invincibility tag and still Moondrive. I think that's because maybe you can cancel on hit. Oh, if they're blocked. Okay, it says right here. Oh, sorry. That's why. If they block the DP, or if you whiff, you cannot Moondrive cancel. Maybe you can Moondrive cancel on hit, but not on block or whiff. So that's how it is. And I think that's perfectly fine. We don't want like a Street Fighter FADC situation where like you can DP but FADC to make it safe. We don't want that kind of situation. So that's their balance of like, no, you cannot use an invincible move and Moondrive to make it safe. Oh, that would be even more bonkers. So thankfully that's not a thing. So that's what it's showing here. So here it's showing you can use Moondrive to extend your combos. That's fine. That's normal, that's balanced, that's fine. I'm okay with that. Here, and they're encouraging this too, in this video, they're encouraging this. Use Moondrive on defense. And I think this is where my biggest concern about Moondrive is making defense super powerful, because Moondrive, you can just block, you can Moondrive, and DP. So, we were seeing before, you could Moondrive and shield. But remember, like I said, shield can be... if you shield and try to shield counter, they can shield it back. What if you can just DP? And it's showing right here. And this is exactly like how it is Chain Shift. With Chain Shift in Under Night. What you do, if you see the press a button, you would Chain Shift and then DP, if your character had a DP. And you just... or use some kind of reversal move. That is what you would usually do. Like, that's what I would do as Lin. That's what you do. That is, like, that's your safest option. Because then they can't really shield that, because, you know, they already committed, you DP. That's how you get out of the situation. If you want to get a full combo out of it, though, then you do a shield and then risk, like, you know, the shield RPS situation. There's that. But it's showing here that, yeah, you can just Moondrive on a defense and DP. You just cancel into DP. Now, I want to see this real quick. Did she have some recovery out of this? Okay, so let's step this. So she Moondrives, This is when she moon drives. Alright, she moon drives. Alright. Alright, she is... Okay, hold on. 1, 2... Oh. So, 1... So at the second frame, she can act. Does she have invincibility during that recovery? Does she actually? Let me see. I don't know, because I don't know if the hitbox on that key is already close enough to hit her. So, I don't think so, because it's already showing here you can do it on defense. It's like change it. Why not? Why not just moon drive and then DP to get out of that situation? This is where I'm saying that Oki is theoretically stronger because of, like, you know, shield being directional based now. So like now you can cross up and they'll get hit. But it doesn't matter because you have moon drive. Moon drive, just if you have meter, why not just moon drive and wake up? Why not? Because you just pause buttons, assess the situation, and you know, just go back. Now they can just like not. What they can just do is just not press a button and force you to waste your moon gauge. So again, RPS situation. So they force you to do that because you do have 2 frames of recovery, which means that the other opponent will be able to do things first. And that's similar to like chain shift. So they can try to grab you and stuff like that. So similar to chain shift, even if you press chain shift, you are not exactly like 0. It's not 0 or plus. They can still kind of like, if they're not pressing anything, they can like still like mash buttons on you. I think I'm trying to recall how much recovery you have on chain shift, but that's what I recall. That I'm assuming this is kind of how they're trying to do it. Another thing that's very similar to is Trump, Blue Trumps in Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax, and that's why Blue Trumps was more powerful than Red Trumps, because Blue Trumps was basically a free pause button. Yes, Red Trumps did a lot of damage, it's free like damage to add on, but Blue Trumps gives you a pause button that you not only can use offensively to extend your combos, you can also use Blue Trumps to use defensively, depending on the character. Some characters, Blue Trumps, it was not equal. Some characters have more recovery than others. For example, Kirito had a 4-frame recovery, but Tatsuya, because Tatsuya's privilege as all heck, has 0-frame recovery on his Blue Trump. So that is why like Blue Trump was very powerful, because it's a pause button that you can use to like it was a pause button that you can use to like reverse if you see the press a button on your wake up and kind of stuff like that. And one of the most common things they would do is like Blue Trump and then into Rambu, which is your like invincible run forward super, or like full screen super, safe super kind of thing. And I thought safe, it was like your full screen super kind of thing, depending on the character. So this is very reminiscent to that. So that's my concern about this whole moon gauge. That's my biggest concern, is moon drive, how powerful it's going to be, not offensively, but defensively. I don't think you're going to be using it much offensively, maybe to extend your block strings like chain shift, but I think it's better to use it defensively, and I think that's what I'm thinking about. So, by showing here, if they moon drive on you, you can moon drive them instead to make yourself safe. So this, like for example, what you can do, when they can try to like DP or shield, but if you have moon drive too, you can just moon drive their moon drive. And that is like your answers to that. So they're showing that there's answers to everything. So not everything is guaranteed, but the problem is, I think in my opinion, this forces the offense to use their moon gauge. Like it just use their moon drive, and in the end it's a win for the defense, because now the offense, they have to use it to make sure that they don't counter their attack, and they're forced to use it preemptively. And as an offense, I feel like that's a lose, because now you can't use it for your defensive options. You have to build it back again. So that's my concerns about the whole moon gauge thing. And then finally, the last thing here, it shows that you can charge your bar, and it takes up meter, and it charges both your magic circuit and your moon gauge. So one thing to note that we didn't notice, but I forgot to point out because I didn't notice in the Miyako vlog video, is that in that video, Vlog was charging his moon gauge, but while you're in moon drive, while Miyako's in moon drive, it actually made hers drain faster. Now it doesn't. This doesn't drain your moon gauge. It doesn't drain your moon gauge. If you're not a moon drive, but if you're a moon drive, it does drain it to go down faster. That's what we noticed. So that is something interesting to also note. Now, my biggest theory is that bad? In my personal opinion, yes, having like upgraded moon skills and having additional movement is cool and all, but it's still not as powerful having that pause button. One possible meta that we might build around Moondrive is go into Moondrive, spend all the meter to drain it as fast as you can, so that you can start building up another Moondrive as fast as possible. So you get another pause button immediately. That is something to think about. That is what I'm thinking, like what people might do. Some people might play around that. And I know G Yuna said that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna try to see how much he can abuse it with that. And if that's the case, I think that this Moondrive doesn't accomplish what it wanted to do. And Moondrive was supposed to be like a powerful tool for both offense and defense, but if people use it too defensively, then I think Kamona might look into it in the next iteration and like try to balance that a bit more. But this is all just theory crafting of what Moon Gauge will do. It's the big thing for Melty Blood type Lumina, and it is the big thing for. Yeah, it's like I said, it's a big thing. So we don't have Moon system anymore and stuff like that. It's now Moon Gauge system. So this is what, and because it's the core mechanic, that's why it has to be powerful. It has to be powerful to make it like why we gotta play around it, and that's kind of what fighting games tend to do. And you know what? It's not like I'm against Moon Drive. Moon Gauge. Moon Gauge is fine because as long as it makes the game nuttier, I'm all for it. Because Melty Blood's always been a nutty game, but it all depends if that nutty game corresponds to being fun. And having a pause button all the time does not make it as fun for the offense, so that's why we're kind of concerned. That's why a lot of people in the community are kind of concerned about this thing. But that's it for the. I think that's it for the Moon Gauge thing. I think there was something else I wanted to talk about with the Moon Gauge. Let me just try to think about it real quick. Oh, right. Yes, the Moon Gauge, about how it builds. So what we know is that shielding builds Moon Gauge, and yeah, shielding builds Moon Gauge. Yeah, shielding builds Moon Gauge, but counter hits build Moon Gauge, and getting hits in general builds Moon Gauge. Like only on the first hit, like not like on the first hit of the combo. But successfully shielding and successfully landing a shield counter builds like an additional Moon Gauge. Failing a shield and getting counter hit takes away Moon Gauge. So that is also it's somewhat in a quote unquote tug of war in a sense too, to try to make them lose Moon Gauge. But that's also why shield is even riskier and also weaker. Because failing a shield does not also mean big damage, it also means losing Moon Gauge. And you don't want to lose Moon Gauge. You want that for that pause button. You need that pause button. Because that makes it so that your wake up is safe. So that's something to think about too. So that's the last thing I want to talk about Moon Gauge. So something to very much think about as well. It's all about like, you know, balancing around how to use your Moon Gauge and stuff like that. Balancing your meter sense, not only your magic circuit, but also your Moon Gauge. So I'm okay with this. I'm just that's like my biggest concern with type like this pause button. It's just a pause button that just allows you to like do, you know, DP on their offense and stuff like that. But yeah, that is the mechanics overview on Melty Blood and stuff like that. That is just my whole like thoughts on the whole thing. In terms of my final thoughts on the whole game, I'm very excited. Don't get me wrong. I know I said a lot of things I'm concerned about with this whole game. I know I'm concerned about some of the mechanics that's added, but doesn't mean I'm not excited for this game whatsoever. I am absolutely 100% excited for this game. I think despite all those things I'm concerned about, I think it's still going to be really fun. As long as it's still nutty, as long as we still keep the oppressive offense and stuff like that, it's fine. And you know what? More defensive options is very much appreciated. And that's why a lot of people are always especially newer players, were frustrated about the Oki set, about how Oki heavy this game is, because it's not as Oki heavy as something like, for example, Eternal Fighter Zero, but it was still very much like set play heavy to force them to block, especially characters like Satsuki and Nero and stuff like that, with their high, like forcing you to block or putting you to 4-way, 3-way mix-ups. So more defensive options fine. It's just how powerful are these offensive options that just basically mitigates, or just like just mitigates offense in general to make it not oppressive anymore. But it is very excited. There are some things I forgot to talk about, which I'll say now. We haven't seen some returning mechanics. We haven't seen Bunker. Bunker has not returned. Circuit Spark has not returned, which is what I mentioned before when I was talking about the guard cancel heat. That's not back anymore. So we have guard cancel heat now, so we can't combo break. We haven't seen combo breakers at all, and we haven't seen Circuit Spark in Blockstream. For the Blockstream is fine. We got guard heat cancel, and like I said before, it's slower, but at least it doesn't require you to have full meter and waste it all to get the Circuit Spark. That's why Circuit Spark was something you want to use very minimally, because you don't want to lose all your meter off. You don't want to lose all your meter for combo break, because it can also be baited. It's not as easy to bait as Guilty Gear, but you could still, it's still very much baitable. And we saw how Heat was baitable. You can bait Heat. We saw who was it? I think Noel baiting Roa with the shield. So Heat is not unblock. Heat is not unbeatable. So there's that. But that's something to also talk about. What else is missing? Obviously, the moon system is missing, but honestly, this was expected for something completely new. They're not going to be able to have time to make 3 whole move sets for characters. The character roster, 13 characters we know so far. Again, it's in the website, it says and more. I think there's going to be a hidden boss character at the end, and it's either going to be playable or it's going to be just a boss character. All Melty Bloods had that boss character at the end. For example, React had, or the regular Melty Blood had Wallachia, React had Whiteland and Aoko. Act Cadenza, I don't remember who was the secret boss in that one. But in Actress Again in Current Code, the final boss was Sokairas, which was unplayable. Now, in all of those characters, I think Wallachia was playable, but in React with Whiteland and Aoko was like the secret hidden boss character. React, Whiteland was supposed to be the final boss character, but Whiteland and I don't think Whiteland was actually playable, and Aoko was certainly not playable. I know that for sure. But then they became playable in Act Cadenza. So we don't know if the boss character will have a playable final boss character or if it's going to be a non-playable one, like most of the previous Melty Blood games. So I think there might be a playable one, because 13 is kind of an odd number to end at. If we're counting maids as a character, I think it's going to be 14. I think the boss character is going to be the final character. So that's my personal opinion. That's why they're not going to do trailer, because it's supposed to be a secret, and that's why the leaks don't show it either, because we want to keep it a secret. I am super excited for this game. I have my concerns, and it's always going to be concerns for fighting games. But in my personal opinion, my concerns for this fighting game is not as big as my concerns were for other fighting games I had when I first played it, for Granblue Versus, for Strive. I'm gonna say right now, Strive I wasn't a fan of, but I'm not saying it's a bad game. I think it's just more like I didn't like the approach they took for it, because it was an approach I didn't like. It felt much more restrictive what you could do. Like, even with the whole Roman cancel system that they implemented, it felt still very restrictive with the restricted Gatling system. That is why I always like playing French Bitfighter. So I played a ton of Under Night, and I played a ton of Melty Blood, and now I'm back to Dengeki Bunko. Especially Under Night and Melty Blood, you had a lot of freedom with your moves. The Gatling system with the reverse beat system, the rebeat system, I absolutely loved. I loved it because it just gave you so much freedom on the buttons you could press, and that's why a lot of casuals got into the game, because you could it felt like you could just press any buttons. It doesn't matter if you have to go low to high. No, you could just go low, high, low, and it felt fun for them, I think that's why a lot of casuals like playing that game too. It's also because it had the Type Moon, brand on it too. So there's that. But I'm just extremely excited for this game. And one last thing I want to say before I end this very long video, much longer than I anticipated to be. I just want to say, I know there's a lot of people who probably noticed a lot of like quote-unquote controversies for this game, mostly with the fans on how they feel about this game and how they're reacting to certain influencers. I'm not going to name names here. You can go look that up yourself. But not only the influencers, but also how the community itself is reacting. All I'm just gonna say is, don't give two cares about what these people are saying. What people are saying about the game, just judge the game by your own opinion. That's what these trailers are for. These gameplay videos are for you to judge. It's not for these people to judge for you. I don't care about what these influencers are saying about this game. Yes, you can listen to them to give you more informed decisions about how this game works and stuff like that. They'll give you backstory, but don't listen if they say, these guys says, oh, this game will suck. Don't let that like completely influence you. Look for it for yourself. Judge it for yourself. Watch the gameplay videos. Like my analysis, I'm giving my analysis too, but don't let my analysis also like be like the deciding factor as to why this game is why you should buy it or why you should not, right? I'm just giving analysis on like, oh, this character, what this character has now. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm trying my best not to. Maybe I accidentally be like, oh no, this game is gonna rock, this game is great, go get the game and stuff. Like, maybe I accidentally said that, but I'm not trying to be like that voice to be like, no, you should get this game, no, you shouldn't get this game or something like that. I'm just putting my concerns based on my past experiences and my experiences with fighting games in general. But like I said, whatever you see online, whatever controversy you see online on people, don't let that judge your decision on this game. You like the game? Does this game look fun to you? Go get the game. Buy the game. Support Melty Blood. Support it. If you don't like this game, that's fine. You know what? I will say that's fine. But what I will not agree with, and this is why I don't like what influencers are doing, is to try to put down the game for like really dumb reasons, and try to influence other people to not get the game just because of that. If you don't like the game, just say, yeah, it's just not for you. Just say it's not for you. Maybe you could say like why I don't like some of the mechanics, but don't be like, oh, it's objective that because of this, or because this character has no drip, or because a character said something, oh, this game's gonna suck. That's just very really dumb reasons. There is a word for this. I'm really bad at thinking words up on the top of my head while I'm talking, but those are very bad reasons to like not like the game. And that's just, I'm just saying that right now. Those are bad reasons. This game, in my personal opinion, this game had great, like so far it's great like mechanics, great presentation, and you know, great UI and all that. I think it looks great. I'm part of a lot. I will say half of the bias because I'm a fan of Melty Blood in general. This is kind of like one of the first games I got into very seriously. The very first game I did get seriously get into was Ultimate Marvel's Capcom 3. Before that, I did play fighting games, but very casually. But that's why the game has a very soft spot for me, and the fact that after all these years, we're finally getting the long-awaited mythical Melty Blood HD. It's still I still can't believe this. I still can't believe it. This was a joke like for quite some time. Ever since Under Night In-Birth came out with the Elton sprite, everyone was like, "Oh, Melty Blood HD, Tsukihime remake. When is that happening?" And then both of them happened. This like 2020, 2020, like 2021. Like everyone thought it was a meme. Everyone thought it was a joke. Everyone thought it was just a joke. Like it's not gonna come out. And this game is like literally just a few days away. I am so happy. I am so happy. That's part. I like I said, this is my bias. I'm excited for the game, and I'm hoping that you guys are excited. If you're not, this game's not for you. That's fine. This game, I'm just really happy that and I'm gonna go a little bit more, but I'm just really happy with this game that this game doesn't restrict too much on the, you know, on the gameplay itself. And that was something like I said, I didn't like Strife because how restricted it became compared to previous Guilty Gear games. It became like its own game, and that's fine. It would become its own game. But I think because it had Guilty Gear on it, that's why a lot of, especially veterans and high level players, are like kind of iffy about it. That's just my personal opinion. If you like Guilty Gear Strive, that's more on you. That's obviously for your game. It's just not my game. But Melty Blood was a game for like players like me. It doesn't feel restrictive. It felt like it's still keeping the kind of gameplay it is. It's not trying to change the game too much. It's still being Melty Blood. However, because of the new systems it is still trying to be like its own thing. Like, it's still trying to be Melty Blood, but it's not like an extension of the previous game. It's trying to be like the reboot. And that's how you should approach this game. If you're like iffy about this game because, oh, it took away like moon system, it took away bunkers and stuff like that, and like max mode in this game, please think of it this way. Think of it that Tsukihime Remake was a remake of Tsukihime. They changed the story, they changed the plot quite a bit. That's why I'm not going to spoil about the story here, but they changed quite a few plot points in the game, in the visual novel. I think because the Melty Blood type Lumina is like a reboot in itself, the gameplay itself is very basically a reboot, and that's why it's still Melty Blood. It's still very much Melty Blood to the core, and that's what Kamone tried to achieve, and I think he achieved that perfectly. He's perfect as best as he can. But there's also new mechanics and new ways the game works that makes it its own game thing. So please treat this as Melty Blood, like as a reboot, as a new thing, like reimagining of Melty Blood to be modernized, and I think modernized in a good way. Modernized in a good way, not like restricting buttons, but like keeping it like still Melty Blood, but like very fun and expressive. That's the biggest thing. It seems like it's still extremely expressive game, and that is what I'm really happy about. Like there's still very much character expression that it allows, like player expression especially, and I think that's the big thing. I'm happy about it, that this is going to allow that, and that's why I'm just really happy for this game. I'm just excited for it, and yeah. Whew. Anyways, I've been going on for a bit too long. I know there's a lot of other things I want to talk about this game, but you know what? I think I've said enough about Melty Blood. Yeah, it's kind of a bummer some characters didn't come back, but will there be DLC? Possibly. I'm just saying don't bet on it based on French Bread's past or their history on, you know, adding characters. I think it's going to be more like a new edition if they're going to do it. I think that's going to happen when Farside comes out, because right now we got Tsukihime Near Side, and this game is focusing more on the Near Side characters plus two specific Melty Blood characters, which is Koma and Miyako. I think Farside will introduce more new characters. Like, I think they're going to make a new Melty Blood when Farside comes out, and they'll introduce those other new characters with it. That will get a bigger role. And there are some characters I'm really want to see from the new Melty Blood remake. I'm hoping there's some returning characters too. But anyways, enough rambling from me. If there are other things I want to mention, I'll probably add in the description on other things I might have missed that I'm really excited about. But I'm just really glad I got this video finally out. I finally got this camera set up. It's my phone, honestly. This is just my phone that I got set up to try to record everything. I don't have like I have a camera, but it's always my my DDR cabinet. Yeah, I have a DDR cabinet. You can see in my other rhythm games channel me playing on it sometimes. But I'm using my phone. I had to find a way to set it up to hook it up. I have a pretty cool way to do it. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. And thank you guys for like sticking with me on my whole opinions on this. I know probably a lot of people are probably cut out by then because I'm rambling too much, but that's just my whole thoughts on the game, my concerns. I already stated my concerns, but I also stated how excited I am. Again, if we're gonna reiterate again, I'm so excited for this game that I didn't even know was gonna exist anytime soon. And you know what? If you don't like this game, you prefer Melty Blood, play the old Melty Blood. We're still gonna have a lot of people playing old Melty Blood because current code, Actress Skin current code, and this game is different enough, in my opinion, that we're still gonna have people playing both games. And yes, there will be a community split, sure, but that's fine. More people playing Melty Blood, I'm just glad there is. You know, and I'm gonna be playing both. I'm probably gonna focus more on Type Lumina. The future for my channel, I know what you're probably thinking, what am I gonna do after the game is out, like without these videos? I'm gonna do my best to post gameplay. I'm not gonna do commentary. I don't usually do it. If you see my bass footage, I'm just trying to put gameplay of the characters I play, Miyako, for people to watch and like kind of learn from. That's kind of what I try to do, like watch and also learn from the character. So like my C-Land, people want to see C-Land. There's my videos. My people want to see my F Miyako. Then there's that. I have a video for CCL too, which I'll upload it, before the game's released too. But that's kind of how it is. But when the game comes out, I'm gonna try to upload footages of myself playing Full Moon Miyako and Crescent Moon CL. And then finally, people are probably wondering, am I gonna make another like B&B tutorial video for Miyako? And the answer is probably. I can't guarantee it. I will say I want to. I really do want to, but it all depends on like. I need some time. We need some time to develop. I'm not gonna post it like first week on Miyako and stuff itself. I want to give it some time. I'll have someone else maybe do like week 1 Miyako, B&B, stuff like that. But I want to give it some time before us to like really develop Miyako a bit too. We give it like a couple months or so before I make like an actual like B&B video, so we know what characters to what is it? Or we know like how B&Bs, like we get an idea what B&Bs will be for the characters for Miyako. So just keep an eye out. I won't have it immediately. I'm just gonna post the gameplay videos, and once we get comfortable with how Miyako works and stuff like that, then I'll start working on things like B&B videos and stuff like that. I am still gonna work on the Crescent Moon Land because, like I said, current code is still a thing. I'm still gonna get around to that. I'm just trying to get things. I have too many things to deal with. Stepmania projects, IRL stuff, but yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry for rambling again. That's just how I am. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video, and then I will hopefully, maybe if you're interested enough, I'll hopefully come across you guys in Type Lumina. PC and probably PS4. I'm going to try to get the PS4 version too, but I'm going to get it especially for PC. Thank you guys for watching, and see you guys in the next video.